Ladies and gentlemen, ever since the beginning of this course, we have covered a lot of information, and a lot of this stuff is just basic fundamentals, but it is a lot of information for people who are relatively new here. So for that reason, we're going to be tying everything together inside of one big actionable step so that we can learn all this cool stuff in one big go. So if you guys have been paying attention, have been tracking and following along with your Premiere Pro in the background, then you have picked up all this information and retained it inside of your mind, and you're doing very well as editors. If not, I highly recommend you start following along in these courses. This actionable step is going to be easy. Let me quickly tell you what I expect of you guys to do in this actionable step, and then we can dive in and do it together. So for the actionable step, what I want you guys to do is I want you to download the same raw footage we downloaded for the last one. Now I want you to cut it up, remove all the silences, and I want you to add some text to it. So I want you to subtitle the intro, for example. So the first clip that I've got, I want you to subtitle that and just add some subtitles to it and make them write out what I'm saying. And then the second part is I want you to now all of a sudden add a zoom in on the intro. And I want you on the second clip to just have a regular shot of nothing happening. And on the third clip, I want you to also have a zoom in, and on the fourth shot, nothing happening. And there you go, you should be good. And after that, I want you to also add some music to it and just adjust the audio volumes to make sure that everything is solid, okay? So with this being said, you go into Premiere Pro, open a new project, create a new sequence, cut up your footage, remove silences, add text, add your zoom ins, add audio, and adjust everything accordingly. And if you guys do this correctly, you should end up with a basic and simple actionable steps that proves you understand the fundamentals of editing. And if you guys need help with it, let's go ahead and do it together. So the first thing I've got over here is a weird wallpaper. Sorry guys, I have an automatic wallpaper generator. Just came with the PC, so it just makes a bunch of weird wallpapers. So let's go into our search section. Let's look up the Premiere Pro and let's go ahead and open it up. So this is where we get greeted with this screen here, and we're going to need to create our new project. So let's call this actionable step 2. And we're going to click on OK. We're going to get greeted with our import screen, which we obviously are going to be skipping. Let's make sure that our UI is aligned just as it always is, and there are no weird changes. Okay, awesome. Perfect. Let's go ahead and start by creating a new sequence and using the preset which we created in the beginning of the course, which is the horizontal 1080p. Perfect. And let's go ahead and drag in our raw footage from our actionable step number 1, which is over... there it is. It is this one. Awesome. And there we go. We've got our actionable step inside. Now, when we drag it in, we obviously need to keep the existing settings. And let's go ahead and zoom in. And let's get started on doing our cuts. Before we do our cuts, let's make sure that the audio volumes are good. So if we listen to this, this is a sample video. It's at -15 or -12, something like this. So I want to bring that up to -9. So I'm going to increase this whole thing by 10 and see how it sounds. Sample video is where I speak and I take a few pauses. Okay, so for example, it's still pretty low. So I'm going to increase it by 5 more. Again, all I'm doing is just selecting it, clicking on G, and adjusting the gain by the value which I want to increase it by. So we're going to go with the total, which is 15. Sometimes I might even say that is too loud. So I'm going to click and adjust the gain by -5 so I can bring it back to 10. Or you could have just literally clicked on this and set the gain to whatever you'd like. Okay. This is a sound. Let's go ahead and do our cut. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom in by holding down Alt and scrolling on my timeline, and then just scrolling along my timeline like this. We're going to use our razor tool. Remember, we only use shortcuts, so we're going to use C to select our razor tool. I'm going to make a cut before this here because there's a bit of silence over here, and click on A for my selector. Select this and click on delete, and let's bring this back. Let's click on C to bring up our razor tool. Let's make the cuts. So here we go. This is our first cut right here. All right, click on A to bring our selection. Delete this and bring it back. Click on C. Let's cut after this, before this. Remove that silence. And one more time, and then finally let's cut over here and over here, and this kind of separates our silence. And let's go ahead and delete this section like so. I'm also going to shorten the end a little bit, and there we go. We have a nice This is a sample video. A sample video is where I... Perfect. So let's go ahead and add some text to the intro. So the first thing I want to do is select my type tool and click on here and type out the first thing which I say is this is a sample video. So I'm going to write out this is a sample video. Like this. Okay, I'm going to shorten this text so it only appears on top of our first video over here. Okay, and the first thing we're going to do is it is all over the place, so let's go ahead and fix this. We're going to go into our text and we're going to change this to our cool Vetica font, and we're going to go cool Vetica regular, and then I'm going to leave the size as it is right now. I'm going to make sure it starts from the center as well and is aligned vertically with the center. And then I'm going to extend these a little bit more because they are pretty close. I'm just going to leave it as it is for now. And I'm just going to add a second line, call it sample video example, like this. And I'm just going to close down the distance between these two lines. Nice and simple. And then I'm going to change the background shadow. I'm going to add a shadow on the background, set the color to a black. And I'm just going to play around with this until I can see it. So I'm going to increase the opacity. And I'm just going to increase the blur and increase the expansion a little bit until I can see it. And we're going to add some distance like this so that we can see our text. There we go. Nice and awesome. Now the last part is I'm going to move it to the bottom so that it's at the bottom by going down to our transform and moving this thing to the bottom like this. And that is nice and simple. I'm actually going to remove the bottom line because I don't like it and it's very unnecessary. So let's go ahead and see this. This is a sample video. The final part is going ahead and adding in a zoom in. All we got to do is select on our main for first intro, and then we're going to move our playhead to the beginning. As you guys notice, we're going to keyframe the scale. Right now, we're going to move it a bit different, and we're going to add another keyframe. So now we've got two keyframes. We want the first one to start at 100, and the second one to end at a value that's bigger. So I'm going to go for 120. So this way, Premiere Pro understands that at this point, it starts at 100 and it should end at 120. And I'm going to put my keyframe all the way at the beginning. So if you guys watch through this, it's now just a quick zoom in like this. And I'm just going to put my first keyframe in the beginning and my second keyframe in the end over here. And if I play through it, this is a sample video. There we go. I'm going to get a nice zoom. This is a sample video. Sample. Awesome. Video is where I speak and I take a few pauses. And there we go. And for the rest of it, we're just going to kind of leave it as it is. And for our third clip, we also want to add a zoom out. So we're going to add a keyframe for the scale, move it in, and then add another keyframe of the scale. Let's have it this time start at a higher value, like 130, and have it end at 100, which means it's going to zoom out. And we're going to put this keyframe in the beginning and put the second keyframe all the way in the end, which basically means sometimes I might even say important things like this. Other times I'm probably going to say something absolutely useless. Awesome. And that is how we end up with our actionable step number 3. Finally, we want to add in some music. Okay, so far it's just basic zoom ins and stuff. Let's go ahead and add in our music. So we're going to go over and just drag in whichever song we have got on our PC. Just choose whichever one. Then we're going to add it in, and it's obviously going to be really loud. So let's go ahead and give it a listen. It's at -3. So let's go ahead and click on G. Let's set the gain to -20. Because we want to bring it down to -23 or 24, and we're just going to cut to a different part of the song, and let's go with this. This is a sample video. Let's make sure to cut off the excess and check this out. Video is where I speak and I take a few pauses. Sometimes I might even say important things like this. Other times I'm probably going to say something absolutely useless. There we go. And isn't that a clean and simple video? Look at you already on actionable step number 2, and you can make a basic video inside of Premiere Pro. Just a while back, maybe just a day or a few days ago, you did not know how to use Premiere Pro, and now you're already good enough to create sample fundamental videos. Look at that. Now we're going to go ahead and make you a master of Premiere Pro. So with this being said, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for our actionable step number 2. It's nice and simple. I hope you guys were able to make it. If you did, make sure to post it in the community. Make sure to send it to us, send it to the assistants, send it to me, whatever you want to send it to. And I'm going to go ahead and check it out for you and keep giving you the encouragement and helping you guys out. And with this being said, guys, let's go ahead and dive into some more complex topics. But first, we need to understand video editing. And that's why I've prepared a very cool masterclass or course for you guys, where I'm actually breaking down what editing is made up of, so that you guys, now that you know the fundamentals, can understand what video editing is made up of, and you can start to work on the things which you need to work on to become good editors. So once we have clarified why video editing is important and how we break down, how we understand video editing, what it's even made up of, that's when we're going to be able to work on it and make ourselves amazing editors. So I'll see you guys in the next course, in which we're going to be breaking that down and crushing it with video editing. I'll see you guys there.